Now, what were you saying to me?
Excuse me?
What were you saying to me?
I was saying that it's interesting that you have on your cap, I voted
Yes.
in the front,
Yes.
and I got on my cap in the back.
Okay, we both voted. Hallelujah.
That's the whole point.
Amen.
And if I said nothing else
Yes.
during the course of this reading,
Yes.
I think that's the most important thing I'm going to say.
That you.
And having said that,
All right.
let's continue
Take care of business.
with chapter 15.
Okay, and
I'm
you're
really getting ahead of myself.
You're reading from.
I'm reading from, I don't know. Let's call it Shackles Across Time.
That would be it. That is the book, Shackles Across Time. Thank you.
If you caught me another day, it would have been
Something
maybe
else.
the Bible or something.
Something else. Moving right along. Moving right along.
That's all. If you can see the expression that.
Moving right along. Shackles
What did you
Across
say to
Time.
yourself in your mind?
Step 14.
He didn't say that.
Chapter 14.
Okay. Let me take off my couple prevention thing.
Mm-hmm.
Take a sip of my coffee.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Strong.
It tastes very brown.
Uh-huh.
On the road to Larteh,
All right.
Chester felt a bit sluggish. Maybe it's the jet lag finally settling in, or the gin and beer, or maybe after the effects of the film. Charles Bookman's driver was obviously a pro. He could tell from the way he handled the curves. He was a slender man, fine-boned and not given to excessive chit-chat. The master has sent you this note for his grandfather. His grandfather, he said, the patriarch of my mother's side of the family. That could mean a number of things in a place where men sometimes had more than one wife.
Mm-hmm.
He played with it in his head for a few miles before quizzing the driver. Driver, what is your name? I'm called Emmanuel, as in the Holy Bible, sir. Emmanuel, does Master Bookman have many brothers and sisters? Yes, sir, many. And does his father have many wives? Only 6. If you can afford them.
Amen.
Oh, I see. Well, let me get off this. I'll be more confused than I already am.
Mm-hmm.
The breeze blowing in from the countryside cleared his head, and by the time they approached the village of Aburi, he was beginning to feel snackish. Aburi and Sachi, Akupim, NaNa Oparebea II's stew land. I have to pay her a visit when I get back to Accra, or else my name will be mud forever.
Mm-hmm.
NaNa Oparebea II.
Mm-hmm.
The name fits her better than the name she was given at birth. Royal people are supposed to have royal names.
Mm-hmm.
Chester had a schoolboy crush on the Nana and had had one since their first meeting. She was an ideal woman in his eyes in many ways. She was beautiful and didn't think she was, resourceful and full of imagination, an artist. He had 2 problems with her. Number 1, she was given to gloomy moods. We're all doomed.
Mm-hmm.
Can't you see that we are doomed?
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, she was a bit too authoritarian. He had seriously thought about asking her to marry him 6 times, usually after one ABC too many. He was always forced to push thought aside. If she said yes to his proposal, that would mean that he would become Mr. Nana in the purely Western sense of their relationship. Mm. He didn't think his ego could stand that kind of pressure. Yeah, I have to pay her a visit when I get back. Emmanuel, stop in the village. I want to buy something to eat. Sir, the master has had chop prepared for you. It is in the basket here. Chester made a note to drop Master Charles Bookman a serious thank you note. Would you like to chop now, sir? Yes, I would like to chop now. Just beyond the village is the botanical gardens. I will go there. Well, you're the driver. Emmanuel, the driver, smiled at him in the rearview mirror and tilted his chin a little higher. He paid to feed him into the gardens, and he was surrounded suddenly by stretches of well-manicured grounds and fabulous trees that had roots that stuck up out of the ground like the prowls from old-fashioned galleons. What did they call those trees? I can't remember.
They're in the swamps, yeah.
It'll come to me. They drove to a green hillside overlooking a distant village. Emmanuel spread a plaid blanket for him to sit on, placed the picnic basket on the blanket, and disappeared. Chester settled down on the blanket, feeling a bit full of himself. I guess if you're going to do it, this is the way to do it. The basket was packed with meat pies, a salad, and a bottle of white wine. Wine for brunch? What the hell? The meat pies were delicately flaky, filled with chipped beef, onions, and finely diced potatoes. The wine married the flavors. An hour later, he stood up feeling satisfied and vigorous. Emmanuel reappeared as soon as he stood up, cleared the area, and 10 minutes later, they were back on the road to Larteh. The soft morning breezes, the gentle hum of the car's motor, the food and the wine eased Chester into a deep mid-morning nap. He almost screamed aloud when he woke up and looked over the edge of the road. They were some 5,000 feet up. No problem, sir. This is the road to Larteh. The road suddenly dipped, twisted through a corridor of tall trees, and suddenly they were on the outskirts of Larteh. Larteh had a character of its own. Chester could see it and feel it as they slowly drove uphill on the congested main street. Mind you, who are the women in the white sheets with the flour all over their bodies? Oh, they are, how do you say, they are disciples of the Shrine of Akonodi. Why are there so many people about? Today is Sunday, sir, church day, market day. The African crowd fascinated Chester. There's enough here to blind the colorblind. And more fine sisters than I'll ever see in 3 lifetimes. The town, it was slightly too large to call it a village, of Larteh was built on a slope. He could feel the car pull as they drove upward to the end of the long main street. He was content to take in the sights and leave the driving to Emmanuel, who obviously knew where he was going. The congestion gradually thinned out, and they were on a rutted road to the middle of an area that made him think of the low desert around San Bernardino. A half hour later, Emmanuel eased the car to a stop and gestured in the general direction of the horizon. We must walk from here, sir, not too far. Chester hopped out of the car and was almost bowled over by the midday heat. What's not far? I hope whatever the hell it is ain't too far. He followed Emmanuel, feeling strangely like a man on a safari. 15 sweat-drenched minutes later, they approached a compound of 6 thatched huts. Children ran out to greet them, looking wild-eyed and curious, like children all over the world. Emmanuel led Chester through an opening into the compound and stood in place, waiting. Chester casually checked out the action in the compound. Women were going about the business of preparing food, washing clothes, being busy women in Ghana. He'd never seen a Ghanaian woman who was not busy anywhere. Ago! Ago! Emmanuel called softly as he approached the largest hut and was immediately answered by a middle-aged man with a walking stick. Barmin! He replied as he escorted him to a seat on a shaded bench. A few people altered their activities. The women who were pounding fufu pulled their lappers up to cover their breasts. There were strangers about, people with strange ideas about women and bare breasts. The men sat, not speaking, and a few moments after they sat down, a young girl hurried over to the bench with bottles of water and 3 cups on a tray she carried on her head. The man who had greeted them poured a cup of water for each of them ceremoniously. Chester knew the custom. He drank his cup and poured the dregs on the ground. Each of them did the same thing. The ancestors had received a libation. Now matters could proceed. Emmanuel took on the task of explaining who Chester was and what he was doing in his family compound on the outskirts of Larteh. Chester's mind wandered over the scene in front of him as the driver and the village elder spoke to each other in lusciously accented Ga. We could be back in the 16th century. Women with babies on their backs pounding cassava in a mortar. No telephones, no television, no cars. If it weren't for the iron pots and the boxes of soap powder, we could be in the 16th century, maybe the 15th. Mr. Chester, this man is the son of the man you have come to see, one of the family. The man reached over to shake Chester's hand, smiling and nodding pleasantly. He says his father is not here at this time. He has traveled to the bush to collect herbs and will not return before tomorrow evening. Gone to the bush to collect herbs? Hell, we're already in the bush. Please tell them that I will return tomorrow evening. It is very, very important that I meet with his father. Emmanuel smiled slyly. I have told him of this already. There's nothing else to be said. They stood, shook hands once more, and trekked back to the car, accompanied partway by the children who skipped along beside them, laughing and giggling. What are they laughing about? Oh, they're happy to see the visitor. That makes them laugh. At the edge of the compound, Chester stopped and stared at them. Innocent. They'll know nothing about drive-by shootings, gang warfare, crack cocaine, rape, robbery, racism, civilized behavior. Should I give them some money? Emmanuel looked shocked. Oh, no, oh, please, sir, don't do that. It would not be proper. Tomorrow evening, what does one do in Larteh overnight? Emmanuel, I need a place to spend the night. Yes, sir, I know, we are going there.
He's very resourceful.
Oh, some of these guys read minds, man.
Beautiful.
They know what you need, and they're there to give it to you. Chester patted the driver on the shoulder. Emmanuel, you know something? You remind me of a guy named Alan Rich. The driver looked slightly puzzled for a beat and then pleased. He was obviously being given a compliment. Here we are now in chapter 16. It's going right along.
Yes.
Things are beginning to
Click.
become more flavorful. Tamara's, an exclusive hotel with an outdoor restaurant.
Tamara's.
At the other end of town, perched on the side of a steep hill. Tamara's overlooked a valley of great trees and miles of green forest. It made him feel as though he were perched in a bird's nest. Chester sat at a shaded table on the edge of the terrace, sipping his ABC and thinking about women.
Okay.
Damn. I haven't really had a woman in my life since Simone passed. May the ancestors bless her holy name. I've been in and out of a few women over the past few years, but I haven't really had a woman. Yeah, I'm 60 years old. Got a few bucks in the bank, a nice little pad in Alicante, Spain. A couple other pieces of land here and there. But I don't have a woman. He stared out into the valley. Sex just won't do it. I think I've had all the pussy a man could want. African pussy, Asian pussy, Indian pussy, Caucasian combinations. Now, It ain't about sex anymore. It's about a woman.
Mm.
It would be nice if she had good pussy, but it would be more important for her to be a good woman.
Mm.
He sipped his beer, provoked her into a personal argument with himself about a definition of a woman.
Mm.
Is she fine? What's fine? Is it necessary for her to be fine? No, not necessarily. Well, what is it? What is it the old man used to say? A woman ain't nothing but a skirt, a bone, and a hank of hair.
Huh.
Who knows? Maybe they were right. Maybe that's the real essence. If you find the right kind of skirt draped over the proper bone, topped by the right hairdo, what else could you ask for? He dropped the internal discussion and let his mind drift with the African sunset. The sun, unobscured by smog and strange poisons, sank slowly behind a collection of distant hills. It looks like a big orange lollipop being swallowed.
Mm.
The afterglow lingered for a long moment and suddenly it was night. Oh, nighttime in Ghana. Sounds like that could be the title of something.
Mm-hmm.
Nighttime in Ghana.
Mm.
He paid the check and strolled away to his room, swirling the name for his next book around in his head. Nighttime in Ghana.
Yes.
Ghana nights. Ghana, baby. Huh. Nighttime in Ghana. Dear Consortium. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That takes in everybody. I can't say when this letter will reach you because I'm mailing it from a small town called Larteh. Today is Wednesday and I've been here since Sunday, waiting for the man to return from an herb gathering who can do the work needed to remove the curse from the Quartet clan. It's as simple as that.
Mm.
I have met several times with this man's son, and he assures me that his father is the reincarnation of the man who cast the curse and he can remove it, if he chooses to do so. Don't change that channel. The picture may seem like it's full of snowflakes from over there, but over here it all seems quite clear. The old man has great wisdom. You can see it in the son's eyes, and great powers. They tell me that I'm not the first one to come from across the ocean to have the old man perform works for them. He is called a Bokor, and it rhymes with doctor, which is what this is considered to be. X out the witch doctor bullshit. That's from the Tarzan movies. I have received extraordinary cooperation from a member of the family here, a very wealthy man named Charles Bookman. When I discovered that I wouldn't be able to meet with the Bokor, his name is Odei, when I thought I would, I located the only working telephone in town and called him. Mr. Bookman had loaned me his car and a driver, and I wanted to tell him about the delay. Your business is important. Do not be concerned. I have another car and another driver. God bless your efforts. Incidentally, the old man that I'm trying to meet is Shaw Bookman's grandfather, I think. And so it goes. I'm on my way back to Grandfather Odei's compound this evening. I've been assured he will be there this evening, but they've been telling me that since Sunday. My best wishes to you all. See you when I see you. Sincerely, Chester Simmons.
Mm. Mm.
Father is here, but he is resting now.
Okay.
We should have more food and water, and then we can talk when Father awakens from his sleep.
Mm.
Chester took a deep breath to contain his excitement. He's here, finally.
Mm.
The evening blast of furnace air suddenly seemed cooler. The same girl who had bought them water during their first visit came with large banana leaves stuffed with smoked fish and a cornmeal mush.
Mm.
Chester ate quickly, feeling anxious. Uh-oh, Looks like my western side is gaining the upper hand here. 6:30. The son brings word that the father has awakened. He will speak with you after he has offered his prayers for the evening. Chester found himself wishing he had left his watch at home. It didn't make sense to be checking the time in this atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Things had a way of happening when they were supposed to happen, not when they were timed.
Thank you.
45 minutes later, Emmanuel and Chester were ceremoniously escorted into the Bokor's home. The old man sat on a gorgeously carved stool, smoking a long stem pipe. Chester, the son, and the driver, translator, Kwame, automatically went down on their knees in the old man's presence. No one had to explain this. It just seemed to be the proper thing to do. Chester glanced around the space, one of his long-standing habits. It was an old-fashioned hut with mud wattle walls, made slightly larger than the other huts, and filled with objects that Chester couldn't identify. Bags packed with leaves, bottles with different colored liquids, strings of shells, bones, bowls filled with things. The evening shadows were falling. The sun left his kneeling position and lit a large kerosene lamp. The old man didn't seem to be aware that they were there. For a few long minutes, and then softly he spoke to them, or rather he spoke to his son, who then spoke to the driver, who translated to Chester. Grandfather Odei says, "You're welcome." I thank Grandfather Odei for his welcome, but I would like to offer him this. Chester had followed Emmanuel's advice on the matter of payment for the Bokor service. His advice. It would be proper to offer him a bottle of gin or schnapps or palm wine, but only he can tell you about the correct price of his work. The old man looked at the gift bottle of schnapps and smiled directly at Chester. Chester felt like the sun had suddenly opened on him. God, what a beautiful smile. With all of the teeth missing and wrinkles everywhere, but under the bottom of his feet, he has a beautiful smile. Too bad the commercials don't show this kind of smile, a real smile.
Yeah.
The old man directed his son to bring glasses and to pour ritual shot into each glass. Chester drank 3/4 of his drink and poured the rest on the ground in front of him. The driver and the son did the same thing. The old man placed his pipe on the ground beside him, took the bottle of schnapps, said a few words, and dribbled alcohol on the ground in front of him. "He is offering libation," Emmanuel whispered. "I know," Chester answered. Everything is prayer, libation, sacred gestures, feelings, dances, meaning. God, look what they took from us. The libation offered to the ancestors. The old man passed the bottle back to his son and lit his pipe. His emotions were unhurried, simple, direct. He spoke to his son for a long minute. The son spoke to the driver, and as before, the driver translated. For a hot second, Chester was on the verge of suggesting, why don't we skip the son and just speak directly to Emmanuel? Or simply have the son speak directly to me. It would save time. Time. There I go again. Time. What does it matter? He thought of the irony of all the Ochames involved. I'm the mediator for the Cortez. Emmanuel is my mediator, and the old man's son is his Ochame. Wow. He was pulled away from his thoughts by Emmanuel's urgent whispering in his ear. He says, "You must bring 3 sheep for the sacrifice and a bottle of palm wine for the libation." And also, he says, "Those of this generation who are affected by the curse must die." Chester felt an unfamiliar tightness in his chest, as though a heavy weight was being pressed against it. Emmanuel, I clearly understand the part about the sheep and the palm wine, but I'm not sure I understand the last part, the part about those who must die. Could you please ask him to clarify this? The driver spoke to the old man's son, who spoke to his father, and then the process was reversed. Chester tried not to betray his anxiety. He says, if the curse is to be removed, those of this generation who are afflicted must die, and some other things must be done. Well, how? How will they die? What other things? The translation put Chester's nerves on edge. What are they really saying to each other? What's the old man really saying? Oh my God, what have I got myself into? He says they must die. That is all he says. And you must be prepared to do other things. Robert Quinn's voice echoed in Chester's head. We have to think about future generations. There was complete silence in the room, save for the sputtering of the kerosene lamp. Future generations. Chester heard his voice sound as though it belonged to someone else. When? What do I have to do? For the first time, the old man spoke directly to him. You must decide. If you agree to make the proper offerings, I can help you accomplish your mission. The effect of the old man's voice speaking to him in heavily accented English had the impact of a thunderclap. Tomorrow. The old man nodded agreeably and began to clean his pipe bowl with a slip of wood. Tomorrow, Thursday. They left the Bokor's hut, agreeing to return at the same time next evening with the ingredients needed for the cleansing. Step 1. Chester was silent, being driven back to Tamara's. Emmanuel, can you buy the sheep, the palm wine? Yes, I will do it. My wife's brother, who lives nearby, has a fine herd of animals. Good. Here's the money. Pick me up tomorrow, same time. Okay. I will come for you. Later, Chester wandered out onto the terrace of the restaurant, feeling weighed down by circumstances. I ought to call Robert or Mary or Jesse or somebody. I need to talk with somebody. But about what? What could they say to me about where I am? The valley below Tamara seemed to be yawning, and from a distance he heard the staccato sounds of drumming. Would you like to order something, sir? Yes, as a matter of fact, I would. Bring me 4 tots of beefeater gin and a cold ABC. Yes, sir.
That's nourishing.
Yes, sir. He staggered to his room after 8 tots of beefeater and 2 bottles of ABC, feeling slightly, strangely sober. Sprawled on his bed, trying to blot out the faces of Benjamin, Bella, and Tabula. Hours later, he woke up, splashed water on his face, and stepped out onto the porch bordering his room. A half moon seemed to mock him with a satanic gleam. The African night buzzed with secret sounds. God, why me? Why me? Why in the hell did I commit myself to this crazy shit? Thursday beamed into his hotel room, hot and humid, despite the air conditioning. He had a hangover and a foul taste in his mouth. Wonder if they have some strong coffee here. He showered and tepid and finally cold water, dressed casually and walked a few yards to the restaurant. He was surprised to see a group of African Americans on the terrace. Wonder where they came from. He quick counted 20 people, about half men, half women. He guessed them to be academics of some sort, probably using that summer vacation time to trip over here. Hope you ought to get him what you feel you need. He nodded as pleasantly as possible as he crossed through their lines of vision to get to his table. Several of the ladies whispered to each other. What's that about? He surreptitiously checked his flyer. As ordered, the coffee was strong and black, sugarless. He was sipping his second cup when the whisperers blindsided him. Would you please excuse us for intruding on your privacy, but aren't you Chester Himes, the writer?
Chester Himes?
Chester felt flattered to his boots, but his headache and the headache of the decision he was saddled with pounded his mind into fragments. He was almost tempted to deny that he was Chester Simmons and become Chester Himes. But he knew the deception would last for only as long as the academics consulted their colleagues. Chester Himes was dead, long dead. Sorry, ladies, sisters, I'm Chester L. Simmons, not Chester Himes. You've been deceased for a while, he said in a flat, expressionless voice. All right, Alvinia, pay up. I told you it was Chester Simmons. How did you recognize him? He gave a speech to our literary group just before I left Chicago. Isn't that true, Mr. Simmons? Give the lady first prize, he announced, trying to go with the flow. Mr. Simmons, may we join you for a moment? He gestured grandly, welcoming them to his table. What else is there to do? They were nice people, filled with enthusiasm. You could see that at a glance. Mm-hmm. No need to be churlish with nice folks. Mm-hmm. Now then, Alvinia probed, what are you doing in Ghana, in Larteh? For a moment, Chester felt the black coffee he had drank back up in his throat. The impulse to tell an enormous lie died on his tongue. 5 minutes into the story, told slowly and deliberately, he became aware of being encircled by a collection of academic types who were listening to him and taking photographs with concentrated intensity. He made an intuitive decision to purge himself, tell the whole story. 30 minutes later, he settled his back against his chair and studied the expressions on his listener's face. Several of them obviously believed he was putting them on, maybe rehearsing the outline for an upcoming book. Mr. Simmons, you say this is a true story? Justice, sipping on his first cold ABC of the afternoon, nodded, yes, yes, yes. After exchanging a few goody-feely niceties, he felt compelled to distance himself from their innocence. Damn, why would you want to come to Africa and not be involved with mysterious stuff?
Hello.
In his room, after another tepid shower, he carefully positioned himself on his bed, feeling hot and chill. Hope I'm not coming down with malaria. Oh, shit. He got in bed but couldn't sleep. He tried to write a letter but couldn't decide who to address it to. He read a few chapters of a book. Nothing could take his mind off of the coming events. The hours slithered away, some of them lasting for what seemed to be longer than 60 minutes, and finally it was time. Emmanuel had parked the car in front of the hotel, was waiting. Do you have everything? Chester asked, feeling slightly ridiculous. Everything? 3 sheep and palm wire? What the hell could that be about? Yes, sir. The animals are trussed in the boot, and I have here the palm wire. All right, good. Let's go take care of business. And that's the end of that. For the time being.
Wow.
I'm trying to make an effort to let the story tell itself rather than jump all over it and, force it. Like, I gotta have it my way.
Right.
I need to have this happen, that happen.
And this
I hesitated about having him meet the people on the terrace. Mm-hmm. My first thought really was to have him sit out there by himself and give us a stream of consciousness thought. Mm-hmm. But then I felt at the same time the need to have him share what he was about.
To cleanse, to relief, be able to communicate.
So that's what we are. And
okay, so that's chapter 14 and 15 and 16?
This 16 to 17.
Oh, 16 and 17.
I read both of them.
Okay.
I'm going at it 2 chapters at a time
Ooh.
because I want to find out what's going to happen.
I do too. Oh
Okay.
my goodness. Thank
Okay.
you. Odie.
You want to tell anybody who's watching this where they can buy?
Yes. They can buy Shackles Across Time at Author House, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and your website is www.odiehawkins.com.
That's right. That's it. That's
You're
it.
on the author's page on Amazon.
You got it.
One can Google Odie Hawkins and see various adventures, and maybe even some of the radio plays.
You're all over this.
So, but if you like this video, please hit the like button below and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for this moment in time. We appreciate it. Vote.
I did.
Vote. He did. I did. Vote.
The most important vote you will ever cast in your entire life. I got the word from high up.
Yes.
Well, at least one high up,
Ashi.
and he was not blonde.
Ashi.